Foreign Exchange is the fifth episode of the second season of The Middle. This is directed by Paul Lazarus, and in general, I really enjoyed this episode. There are a couple of small things that kind of irritated me, really teeny tiny things, but I'll talk about that when we get there. But in general, it's a really good episode. It starts off with everybody getting ready to go to church, and the church is talking about host families, and then Nancy Donahue happens to mention that hosting somebody is a great way to make the kids more tolerant and mature. And as is often the case, Sue and Axel are in the middle of fighting, so Frankie thinks maybe they could do with this. And they decide to, Frankie decides that they're going to host somebody, and they host somebody from Japan, and he's called Takayuki. And I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He's played by Matthew Moy, and I really liked him. He doesn't have too much to say, but what he does say, I was going to say it's really interesting. It's more so the way he says it. I absolutely love the character. And obviously he's pretty much in every scene from the beginning or from near the beginning. So that definitely made me quite happy. However, there were a couple of things that I didn't love. And the first one is Brick asks him if he's read any anime or manga. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't anime strictly for TV shows and film? Manga is for print media. So that kind of irritated me, unless I'm mistaken. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. So the fact that Brick got that wrong is a little concerning. But it's a tiny, tiny thing. And the other thing that's really tiny is they all have takeout for dinner, as is often the case. And Takayuki, he's just sitting there holding the bag. And eventually Mike tells him it's food, it's his, he can eat it. And he takes out the burger and kind of inspects it and looks at it. And I feel like that's not an accurate representation of a Japanese person's experience with fast food in 2010. I googled it, and apparently McDonald's went to Japan in 1971. In fact, according to one random website, and I don't know if this is factually accurate or not, but apparently the first ever fast food restaurant in Japan was McDonald's. It was in Tokyo in 1971. Take that with a pinch of salt, as it were. But the point is, Takayuki definitely wouldn't have not known what this hamburger was. So just little tiny things like that really irritated me. But actually, that's pretty much it. That's all that really annoyed me. And that all happened within the space of like a minute or two. After that, everything's plain sailing. Well, for me at least, not so much for everybody else. Takayuki goes to school with Axel, and he keeps carrying his breakfast around, his Pop-Tarts. Sue tries to get him to sing karaoke. Mike tries to go fishing with him. And Frankie ultimately has to agree, and this is quite harsh, but she says that they've got a dud. And she, once again, talks to Nancy Donahue. And Nancy Donahue points out that her exchange person, who's from Spain, is having a great time. They were shy to begin with, but she took them to loads of places and they opened up. And Frankie realises they've just been sitting in front of the television all week. Maybe they need to do something, and off they go in the car. And, it's the Heck family. Things don't go according to plan, and the car breaks down. And they have a huge argument. And I like the fact that Frankie eventually just gave in and told Takayuki, this is an American family, this is what you get. And I like the fact that she realised there's no point in pretending being something they're not. And if somebody comes to visit your country, they're going to want an authentic experience. And, at the end of it, that's certainly what they gave him. And then he ended up fixing the car for them, which was nice, I guess. And then we end the episode with Takayuki going back home and whispering to himself at the end. So clearly the Heck family have made a lasting impression. It's a nice episode. I really like Takayuki as a character. A few small things that I've mentioned really irritated me. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. And I think there are some really great takeaways here. One, if you are hosting somebody, whether it's somebody from a different country or even just somewhere not nearby, it's probably better to see if they want to see the sights rather than just sitting in front of the television all day. And also, don't try and be something you're not, because it's better to be true to yourself, even if it's warts and all. Not a bad episode, definitely one that I enjoyed. Not perfect with the few things that I've mentioned, but in general, Foreign Exchange is a pretty great episode of The Middle.